Well, welcome everybody to 1 Million Cups Eau Claire. I'll continue admitting people as they pop into the meeting here. 1 Million Cups is a national movement founded by the Kauffman Foundation, and it is to celebrate entrepreneurship across the spectrum. So at 1 Million Cups Eau Claire, you will hear from entrepreneurs that are in their development stage and concept stage, all the way up until fully functioning businesses that may be making a career pivot or a business modification to kind of fit the current times. So the name comes from the 1 million cups of coffee that we are all gathered around each morning that we do this all across the US. So today we have Ingrid Schaller from Ingrid Schaller Wellness here to talk to us about her business. So with that, I'll kick it over to Ingrid.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for coming on today, and I'll try to remember to keep looking at the camera that I'm supposed to look at. And it's nice to see some of you. I've got a big screen here. I'm at Colab just so I would hopefully have the best internet to do this. So I've only been to a couple of these meetings, and I'm really looking forward to getting your feedback today for my business, because I am in the wellness business. It's a business that, for the most part, really needs some contact with people. I've been out teaching wellness practices, but also really expanding that bubble. And I'm very interested in a lot of different things. So I've kind of been thinking about kind of this octopus thing. But you as entrepreneurs know that there's good in diversity, and there's also too much distraction in diversity. So I'll just, I want to kick it off today with a question for you, and have Adam throw this up there. So if you would like to just answer my question about how are you meeting your physical and mental health needs right now? And you can click as many as you'd like, he said. So that's awesome if there are more than one that work for you. But this is just kind of to give me an idea what people are doing as we're in this time, or maybe you've continued what you normally do.
And this is anonymous. We'll just see percentages and answers, not names.
Yes, thank you. Yep, this is totally anonymous. Okay, cool. So it looks like there's a large percentage of us that are getting out, walking, running, hiking, getting outside. Also, a large percent of us are connecting with people to make us laugh, which I think is really great. And then some of the others are just a little more spread out, getting your online subscription to something, you've got a home gym, you're maybe doing a blend. And this just helps me kind of get an idea of what people are looking for. So as you can see, if you're a wellness provider and you want to provide a service that maybe was in a gym or is an online, guess where all the people are, right? A lot of people are doing outside things. So part of it's been kind of an ongoing conversation I've really been doing this business a little bit more part-time. I have a part-time job, as I'll tell you about, in addition to this. So what I do is provide a multi-platform vehicle to provide wellness for physical, mental, and spiritual realms. So I've really worked mostly starting in 2010 with yoga. And I'm finding that, no matter what I'm doing, they blend into each other. And I'm really looking at the wellness of the whole person, not just physical, here's a yoga practice, come in, do it, be gone. I really want that to be something that brings you through, not just today, but the next day, and as more of a practice for your own spirit, for growth. So as I continue, this has been my path. At first it was just teach yoga, figure out how to teach yoga, and figure out how to teach the nuts and bolts. So let's see here. So a little bit about me. I have a Spanish degree. I have a master's in Spanish. I taught kinder Spanish, 7th grade through 12th Spanish. I've taught at the university. I have two children. One is now, my youngest is 13 and the oldest is 20. So part of my yoga, most of all my yoga stuff has been, or my wellness stuff has been during my younger child, my kids growing up. And now, of course, they still need me, but they need me a little less. But I've got that parenting thing going pretty well. So in the yoga and wellness business since 2011, I've done about 1,500 hours of teaching. I've been doing ongoing trainings and workshops. I do a little bit of reflexology, a little bit of something called access consciousness, which is kind of in the realm of being really conscious about what you're thinking about and what you're bringing into your world. And some people might say that's a little bit on the woo-woo side, okay? So I also research in wellness topics. Today I'm giving a talk about uncertainty and how we're dealing with uncertainty right now in our work and in our life. I'm doing, that's at the Lunch and Learn. I'm talking about deep work, which is something that we might kind of gloss over in our, both in our the Lunch and Learn and happiness and how it affects our productivity. So these kind of things are like my other arms of the octopus that I'm continuing to read and listen to podcasts on and really dig into. So leadership in business, habit formation, happiness, doing less, essentialism, distractibility, all of those would be kind of topics that I've also been working on in my spare time. Like that's my fun time. So I'm also a traveler, gardener, learner. My part-time work is in property management. So I don't want to, that doesn't really need to be discussed, but I have some extra duties that I'm doing out there that actually bring in a steady income, which is nice because the yoga and wellness stuff is a little bit up and down. I'm super trained in this area. I have 500 hours of yoga teacher training. That's like a master's degree in yoga, plus all the hours I've taught. And I'm Pilates mat certified as well, which I've been doing a lot of Pilates in the last few weeks with this awesome opportunity to work with people that aren't in Eau Claire, actually. So my teachers live in Madison, and it's been really wonderful. So that's a little bit about that whole part. I just have some pictures here. My traveling, my kiddos, my garlic in my garden was already like 3 weeks ago, probably. And then stacks of books in my house, which is very prominent, or always is there. I would love to be going to Banff over here anytime again. A lovely hiking spot, just beautiful. So what am I doing right now? I have group classes online. I've offered a workshop in March. This was hilarious because we had this thing happen. We pretty much went into lockdown and everybody was, I mean, I think we're starting to acclimate a little bit to what we might be in for a little while here, but I did a workshop on anxiety March 29th. So almost 2 months ago, and it was already on the books before any of this happened. So I love the coincidence of that happening. I think that I will be online for a while with my group classes, but part of my question for you today is, to think about the business model going forward. And as I kind of tell you more about myself, if there are things that I haven't thought of to create a little more contact with people. I have a very loyal group of people, but it's not a big group of people. Yeah, and then just how do I keep supporting people in this climate and then going forward? I've been thinking about all the different ways that I feel comfortable offering group classes, and right now going into the studio that I've been teaching out of is just not what I feel is safe. My cohort of people tend to be over 40 because my approach to this is so purposeful, and it has a bigger aim to it. And I tend to not go very quickly. And I feel like kind of in the younger group, this may be a general stereotype here, but they're really want to go faster, want to feel like they're getting a workout. And the yoga I teach is just not that. That's not what I feel yoga is. So the workshops, I've done workshops on sleep, balance, not like physical balance, resilience, anxiety, meditation. So different kinds of workshops, usually 2 hours a piece. Private sessions, these can be anything from like working with people with specific injuries, or they came out of a surgery and they need to work on something, to providing a home practice for someone, or even a little bit, because I've done all of this work on these other realms, a little bit into the personal life coach, even though I haven't trained in that specifically. I've done a lot of several years of beginning of the year, getting ready for New Year's type resolution type classes. So this is one of the workshops I did here at Ananda Works recently. So as I said, my demographic is mostly people who can come to class during the day. I've been teaching during the day because my kids are at school, and I'm not much of a night person, frankly. And so maybe through like 3 o'clock, and then I start to kind of wind down. People are usually over 40, people who enjoy learning, who like a slower pacing, but really like to know some of the subtleties of yoga. They want to get in there deeper a little bit, because maybe they've been doing this for 5 years. And if you do the same thing over and over again, sometimes you're just not stimulated by the work anymore. So I feel like I can provide that for people that are been working on, a yoga or a strength practice for a while. We can continue to work on different topics. And it's not something that's a cardio sprint. That's not what they're there for. I encourage everyone to go out and get their exercise, go hiking, go walking, and then have these other practices to help keep you fit for doing the walking, the hiking, the gardening, all of those things, because strength practices, balance practices, being able to be present, not only for your body, but all the benefits for the mind, which is what I'll be talking a little bit more at the Lunch and Learn, is that if we can find these practices in our body, it really helps calm your mind. So if you're interested in calming your mind, come to my classes, because I think they really do help ground us. So my business direction, I have been working on, every class I've taught now on Zoom, I've gone ahead and recorded them, and I have them available. People can get to them. I can send them to them recording, and I would like to have all of that available on a website, but there's been kind of a long saga with my website. It's there, it collects money, but it's not able to do put all of my whole life and all my work on it yet, to show like a video subscription thing, and frankly, I'm really kind of thinking about, do I want to be like a YouTube Adrian, yoga with Adrian or something like that? And I just don't know if that's me. I don't know if I feel like I have connection with people like I'd like to have. So I do like writing blogs. I do like giving people food for thought. And to a certain extent, I like doing the courses, like I'm doing the Lunch and Learn today. It's a little bit of pulling your hair out. It's a lot of deep work to pull those things together. I know if you've done any presentations, you know what that kind of work is. So I'm asking myself as I do it, okay, do I want to continue to do this? Is this some direction I want to go? So looking at, what kind of income I'd like, the outreach, is it a subscription or rentals and that kind of thing? Or is there a different direction I'm not thinking of? The value to the community, who is attracted to this, and how to build on that content, and my mission to bring people to a higher level of consciousness, to bring people to feeling healthy every day, and less. Eventually, it's about you feeling well so that you can then help other people. So if that's my aim, is to bring all these people into they feel healthy and happy in their life, then you hope that there's a ripple effect. That's the goal. So just little goals. So let's see. So I guess the questions for you, I've asked a couple kind of throughout here, and tried to just be real frank with you about where I'm at with my business. It's not really a startup because I've been doing it for a while, but I've also been doing it at a very part-time basis with all my other hats that I have on with my kids and working a part-time job and being a gardener or whatever. So yeah, when I had to answer the questions for A Million Cups, like, where are you in your business? I'm like, well, I guess I'm scaling, but I need to figure out how to do that. And if I'm going in like too many directions, you know, where would you feel would be the best for me to go first, second, or third? And I had a, I was saying diversifying is helpful in protecting the entrepreneur. I think that being able to do a few things, especially right now, has really helped. My husband's an entrepreneur. It's really helped us be able to continue to have income during this time, being able to say, okay, public speaking is out. Being in public with my students is out. Now what do you do, right? And everything is online. But what those things could be. I thought about, can I build something on my property so people can come do yoga outside? But I guess I'll leave it at that. That's just one question. I don't know, let's see what I had for my other question. If I have clientele I want that are ready to dig deep, to expand their minds and experience their truest self, what is a motto I could work by? So, you know, there's just a couple of things I was thinking about when I kind of came to the end here, but I'm happy to kind of turn it over now to questions you might have that I didn't clarify enough for you, or any advice you might have. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ingrid. So if you want to open up the participants tab, you can hit the raise hand button. A little bit differently, this week now, Zoom is going to ask you to consent to be unmuted from me, so I can unmute you, but it'll also prompt you to just accept that unmute request. So just be aware of that. Otherwise, if you don't want to raise your hand and ask on camera, feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we can kind of kick it off from there. Ingrid, one question that I had is, what are you finding is your biggest challenge right now with your online group classes? Is it the not being able to see your students kind of in person? Is it giving direction virtually? What is kind of your biggest challenge right now with that?
Yeah, so the platforms that we have now, no matter, I'm watching other people do this as well, take their businesses online, and you don't have the feedback, just like I won't have much probably at the lunch and learn today, and it'll be like, okay, I have no idea if that flew or not. And I can't see, what my students are doing. I can't see if it's not about doing it correctly, but it's doing it safely, or are they frustrated with my pace today? Or you can read that just like you can read a talk. So I can't see them because I'm standing. When you do a physical thing, I have to stand way back here and be way far away from the camera. So I might see those tabs, but I can only just see like there's movement. That's it. So I can't see what they're doing. I luckily have a very dedicated core, as I said, and they will, for the most part, give me feedback, but mostly it's just like, it was a great class, and then, they're gone. But that's not too different than other, than in person. It's not like we have a big conversation after every class, but that is part of it. And I think just there's the little conversations that happen before and after, and they sometimes happen now, and but there are fewer. Like, people for some reason are like, okay, I gotta go. And I'm like, where do you have to go? I don't know where people have to go all of a sudden. It's like 2 weeks into this or 2 months into this now, people have like something else on their watch that they gotta go do. And I'm like, wow. And, I mean, it's one thing if you have to go to the doctor, I guess, but I'm kind of surprised because I know that there isn't, I mean, for my life, there's just not a ton. I mean, I guess there's Zoom overkill, but a lot of my clients aren't working. So anyway, that's been my perspective so far. Sometimes we hang out and chat, and a lot of times people are just like, okay, see you later. So
awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, in the chat, Becca asked, talk to us about local competition. Where do you fit with product offerings and pricing models? Kind of where are you in comparison to the other local competition?
Right. So the thing that I have going for me and against me is that I'm by myself. So I've been working with a studio owner, but we're not really doing a tandem thing, for example. I'm just renting the space from her. So that before this, that's how I was doing it. But I tried it 2 years ago when the studio I was at closed. I tried teaching like 7 or 8 classes a week and I almost killed myself. So no, I didn't. But it was very exhausting. And I said, well, this is not a sustainable model for me. I cannot teach that many classes, physical classes per week, and can continue on to offer somebody like, here's my monthly fee and here's all these classes you can come to. You really need a group of people in order to do that. If I were to take my business to another place and say, I'll just teach for you, I can bet on making maybe $20, $25 a class, maybe. And I've got, as I said, a lot of experience. I just don't want to do that. I'd rather not teach. The only place I've done that is I taught for Gold's Gym, and I feel like that was my dharma. It was my give back to the community, and I made $18 a class after taxes and whatever. So that's my kind of give back to the community. But my hourly that I'd like to make and that I can make when I'm on my own is a lot better. So even though I'm not reaching a lot of people, when I have 6 or 12 people in my class, I still can make some money. Not if maybe if you count all my preparation and all this, you know, if you start counting everything, maybe not, but the income is there. So my pricing is a little bit higher than the competitors because it has to be. I can't charge $10 a class and make money. So that's just how it is. And I mean, otherwise you just need the numbers, the sheer numbers, and say, okay, everybody come to Phoenix Park and you can all pay $5. Then you might, but you just have to really do all that math to get the numbers there. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Awesome. Tabitha.
Oh, hi, Ingrid. You did such a good job. I wanted to say that first. Your presentation was great, and it's so good to like see all the things that you are involved in. That's really, really great. And as someone who has taken one of your classes online, like, I know it's hard, but it genuinely does feel like I feel stronger from it rather than like going at like fast pace. Cause I feel like, I know you said it's not about doing it right, but like doing it at an own pace, but I felt like I was getting more out of it because I felt like I was doing it more right rather than just like getting my cardio up. Mm-hmm. So besides that side tangent, something that I hate to take this from Elaine because I looked at the chat and realized she literally asked what I was going to ask, is just like, what like have you missed during this time? And just like what, like maybe because it feels like you're being pulled in all these different directions, just like what makes you feel like the most like passionate or rewarding, like out of all the things that you do, which is a lot and it's all amazing at it, but like what, like at the end of the day, out of like all like those things that you do, you're like, yes, this is the most rewarding, this is what drives me?
That is a good question. Yeah, I think I'm missing most the connection with people, and I think I miss also, and this may not be the platform for it, but I miss like, and this is, I missed this before because no matter what, I don't know if no matter what, but as entrepreneurs and maybe in your field, maybe you have the same feeling that I need to be with other people that teach. I need to, you know, not just my students, but other people that teach and that other people that want to collaborate in the same way I want to, you know, what I want to do. So sometimes in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe you need to go a different direction and get into a work field or a job that you get a little more contact with people, because this is a little bit lonely. So that's what I miss, I think, is, and everything, you know, different things come with that. I have great freedom right now. So it's like you're always kind of way I have great freedom right now. I'm doing what I like. I do what I like. But I'm missing collaboration. And whether, like I said, whether this is now in COVID or if it was before, still, if you're on your own teaching and not in the studio, you don't, and even in the studio, when I was in the studio, you teach, and then the other teacher comes in and you don't really get to talk unless you really make that a point to do that. So what's most rewarding? Knowing that that my information is landing, like knowing that when I do a workshop on anxiety, or that I'm teaching a class and Tabitha goes, well, this is different, but I think it was really cool. That's helpful to know, that what you're doing isn't just going out into the ether and then you have no idea if it's helping people. And maybe just even writing down or acknowledging that as it comes in. And they come in, but they come in really in small drips in my field, at least so far.
Well, thank you. It was great.
Ingrid, during this time, so kind of combining both what Tabitha had just said and then also the question that you've got on the screen, I think you really have a cool opportunity right now to potentially make some like passive content where, say you set up a secondary video camera that's recording while you're teaching a group class on Zoom. So you're kind of hitting it on both fronts, then you take that video from the video camera and you turn it into a YouTube video, or you put it on Facebook or something, and then also some feedback from people on it. So asking, tell me what you thought of this in the comments, and actually kind of getting that validation so that you end up with something that is, it just exists and it's there that you're creating already. But then it also kind of hooks people into maybe what you're doing and maybe wants, it's kind of a sample, and for more, visit my website, or for more, sign up for a class with me, or for more. So give them a taste and then ask for their kind of feedback and comments and things like that, but then also potentially pull them in as a customer by having that content, that free taste out there.
Yeah, I like that idea, and that's why I've been recording every Zoom call I've done, and my camera is okay. My internet connection is also okay. So like you're saying, I've been on the fence about, do I order more of this stuff, but I kind of wanted to have this meeting first, and I've just been not trying to push my agenda or push an agenda until I really feel like, okay, yeah, I need to buy a camera and I need to buy some lights and I need to, go down this path. And I did give quite a few free tastes, a couple of Facebook classes. I was doing like both of my classes every week, and usually a third class on Friday or Saturday where I could try to tap into some people that were working, and maybe, so Saturday morning was great. I had one person say, gosh, or even after COVID's done, if you could offer this Saturday morning online, it'd be awesome, So I have all of those, and I've been thinking about that possibility. I like what you said about keeping or having that second video, because it'll be better quality, and then being able to post it and ask for, like, what do you think? And maybe like not the whole class, I think little tastes, and that's been in my back of my mind too. Like, what if I did a mini or a 20-minute thing? And whether that's talking about anxiety or if it's doing a physical class, like both things would be on the table.
Well, and like you mentioned, yoga with Adrian, and I've done a couple of yoga with Adrian classes, but they are just those like 20-minute chunks, and like you get something out of it, but you don't get what you do in a full class with an instructor and with that in-person setting. So like it's good enough, but I'd prefer the in-person. So
Yeah.
Beth has her hand up here.
Hi, Ingrid.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm wondering how you were feeling about your business and the trajectory of your business prior to COVID occurring. Did you feel like it was going in the right direction, and did you feel like you were being fulfilled by it? And the reason I ask is because it's kind of that question of whether what you're looking at right now is maybe in reaction to uncovering prior to COVID a desire to do something different, and this spurred you to action to meet that, or were things plodding along well, you were feeling good, everything was working well, and then this hit, and then it's a reaction to the change. So is it a temporary fix that you're trying to accomplish and you'd like to revert back to where you were before? Or is this something that's spurring you into action to maybe it's something that has always been within you that's been needing just an excuse to come out?
Right.
And it's probably not a question to answer, right now, but maybe just even kind of guide your thoughts as you're thinking about where you want to go. Is this a reaction, or is this pulling something out of you that's been always kind of there?
Yeah, I can answer that to a certain extent. I before this hit, I was asking the same questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Making this amount of money, putting in this amount of effort, blah, 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 blah. Or do I want to be making more money, be, reaching more people? And what is the clear path forward for that, for me to feel fulfilled, to have that, like, what's most rewarding, and tap into that piece of what I'm doing. So, and I'm honestly, I'm a person who, you saw I was a teacher for several years before I had my second kid, and I could probably switch jobs every 5 years. Like, I am pretty versatile and I like change because it's stimulating, but there's also, with this particular path, it's been very helpful for me personally, right? I mean, I'm really digging in deep with all of the things that come along with the physical practice. You start yoga and you're doing, like, I got to get the poses right or whatever, but you realize that it's really not about that. It's about knowing yourself. So having that self-awareness and being able to answer those questions. And those questions, for some reason, are still hard.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm guessing you'll be able to answer this question intuitively. Where do you feel like you're being pulled towards?
I can't answer that one.
Okay. Okay.
I have been thinking a lot about, rather than being analytical about it, just receiving. Yeah. Can I receive what, what people are saying, what people are needing? Can I receive what's being said here today? And then whatever that means to people. So.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In the chat, Chris said, so you risk being commoditized. What do you bring differently to the market? And have you thought of how to help your prospective clients fit what may be perceived as a luxury into their budget? So you kind of touched on this, but yeah, I think that's a very good point, where I think there is a lot of competition with yoga studios and things in town. So what is it that you want to hone in on that you do differently to set yourself apart from those?
Yeah, it's the piece of, in the actual movement classes, it's the piece that sets me apart is that my training, number one, is probably more in depth than most, probably 80%. I mean, I'm in the upper 10% in Eau Claire with the training I've had. There are a few people, there are obviously people that have been teaching longer in Pilates or in yoga, but not too many. And so that gives me, a lot of perspective to work with people that they can't show up to a 20-year-old's practice. They will get hurt. And there's a lot of data showing how, how this happens in yoga class. Like I got hurt in yoga class, and it's my worst fear, right? And so how can I can work with people that they're just interested in something else. They see that yoga isn't for them, or like they see the yoga journal pictures and go, well, I could never do that. It's not friggin' about that. It's not about looking like a certain pose. So I guess, but it's a hard education to get out there when everyone else is blasting out, like, here's what you can look like, so that, and then the coming in the personal growth piece. And it's not to say that other yoga studios aren't working those angles as well. That's not true either. So I don't know that I have a solid delineation between what I do and what they do. Again, it would be maybe experience or variety, something like that. So was there a second part to that question?
Oh yeah, how can you, or have you thought about how to help your prospective clients fit what may be perceived as a luxury into their budget? So how do you budget for this in kind of your monthly rundown of your expenses?
Right. And that's an interesting, what I've felt or seen in the market, for example, being at Gold's Gym, is that the people that are there, I've had very few of them. And I try to build my email list with those people, right? And I was having classes of 12 to 15 people at noon on Tuesday when this whole thing happened, which is a pretty decent class. And all the people were like, really like this. Most of them were, retired because they could be there, but not all. Like some people are late 30s or 40. And they, very few have kind of come along and said, yeah, I'll come onto your Zoom class. They don't want to pay for it. It's, I guess, or they don't like Zoom. I don't know. Gotten very few of those people to actually contact me and say, oh, I really miss our class. They want to pay their $30 or $40 to Gold's, and that's it. So that's not going to be sustainable unless they're, only taking one class with me and I can give it to them for $10. That doesn't work for the model. But to answer the question, the languaging around you are important. This is a preventative measure for, not having a fall. It's a preventative measure for having blood pressure in check, and like all those things have been proven through meditation, and the kind of yoga I do leads to meditation. It leads to being able to sit still. So all of those benefits are in there, and marketing that is a good point. So thank you to whoever that was.
Yeah, that was Chris in the comments there. Sarah's got her hand up here.
Hi, Ingrid, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Sarah.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm a yoga teacher in Menominee, and a friend of mine just asked me to, let me know that you were on here. So thank you so much for sharing. I didn't catch your whole presentation, but as I was hearing what I did hear, I have just a couple thoughts. One thing that I was thinking was that I heard you say that you're really committed to your students and you're looking for people to, kind of dive in a little bit deeper. And I wonder, like when I started yoga, it was at an Iyengar studio in La Crosse, and I had to sign up for a whole session at a time. And so for me, that was a really hard decision to make, but it made me as a student contemplate what my commitment to the practice was. And so I wonder if you think that would serve your students or serve you as a teacher or your business model at all. The way that it looked was that I would sign up for a whole spring session or a whole summer session. And then every week we would have 1 or 2 practices per week. And we would work on a specific thing. So, for example, we would have, we're going to have an overall great practice today that touches on all parts of the body, but for the next 4 weeks, we'll be working on shoulders. We'll be working on, mobility, flexibility, strengthening. And over these 4 weeks, the hope is that you see progression in your body, on the specific topic. And then we would move on to the next focus after that. Have you ever done sessions like that?
So yeah, thank you so much. I have done, tried several different models, like a monthly model. I've done whether just giving my students that would pay for the whole month a little bit of a discount from, regular drop-in fees. I've done whole semesters, 16 weeks, pay ahead. And again, my loyal students for the most part will do that. Some of them last year would have said, they do travel some. So then that gets to be a tricky, thing to say, well, we're going to be gone 4 or 5 weeks during that semester. And so then it gets a little bit harder. I like the theming that you're talking about, and I have thought about it. It's just not come to the forefront. I always have a theme in my classes. Last February, I did Fascia February, and we talked about fascia every week. So for sure, I use that, but I haven't marketed it that way to outsiders, if that makes sense. So people that are already coming know they're going to know what we're doing. It's Fascia February because I like alliteration a lot. But maybe we're doing organs another time. Maybe we're doing whatever it is. So for sure, that is a great idea to continue to mull around and see if that helps. The longevity of, or the subscription idea of online, right? Being online, you have access to the in-person or the live Zoom, and you also have access to my whole library of themed classes. Because when I put them on there, I'm putting, this is what we worked on that day. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And then the other just thing I'll say quick is some of my friends are starting to specialize in to something like corporate wellness, where maybe they are not doing in-person classes, or they're not doing in-person classes right now, but they've kind of changed what they offer to do mindfulness, like a 20-minute mindfulness talk or meditation over a lunch hour, where people who are working remotely right now can hop on, and then the business or the organization that they work for pays for it. So it'd be something that you work out with them, and then people can hop on as they are available in the middle of their workday. And then the other one, and I don't know if I heard you correctly or not, that you used to be a teacher, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a friend in Bloomer who used to be a teacher and is now a yoga teacher, and she does mindfulness and yoga for educators. And I think right now that is a really unique and useful specialization, considering how this pandemic has affected our educators. So just a little food for thought.
Awesome. Kathy.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. Hi, I have a couple things. One is to look at your audience. You said you tend to attract people over 40, people with time during the day. Really focus on that group and brand yourself and market to that group. So if you think of a person from that group, your ideal client, who would that be? And then kind of get in their head and what they would want, what kind of class they want, what would they attend. So you're focusing on your clients. You want people with money and time, it sounds like. So that would narrow down who you're, and then market to them. Make sure they're seeing you and hearing about you. And the other thing, I liked how you said, you do more than yoga, and you were talking about mindfulness, and maybe you can brand yourself. I'm thinking of the joyful doctor that was in town. I mean, I got to know her. I remembered that name. I liked you know, it was very simple little packaged brand. Maybe you could be the mindful yoga person or something to that way. And I like the way that you combine your classes, you know, add mindfulness or you have the extra talk or extra session to it. So people are growing, not just their bodies, but it gives them reason to stick around. It gives them reason to sign up maybe for more and want more. So those are my couple ideas I had for you. I didn't even know I turned myself on, so I'm surprised you said my name. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. I have a question then for you or for the group then about, because this was when I was with the Yoga Center of Eau Claire, which many of my colleagues and we all trained similarly in this type of teaching. Is kind of, it's whatever, we all get our teachings from different people. So you tend to then teach how our teachers taught, and they taught how the people that influenced them taught. So but you said some really nice things about that are true about my group, and or at least who has been my group, my audience. And the tricky part about this time is that so many things get online, and I can say that probably half of my people are on Facebook. You know, the rest of them are like no social media. So, you know, getting in front of my group is maybe I have some shield down, but if anybody has any good ideas, like how do you get in front of the people that, you know, right, for the most part, what you hear in marketing is, you know, they do open my emails, and that's pretty much been my one avenue then, right, to have an email that's coming into them, and I get those people that are interested are opening that up. But they're not new clients. So how do I find that demographic in this time? And I'm actually okay with that, because as much as I like Instagram and I like Facebook, I go on Facebook and I do my thing for my business. I make sure nobody needs anything from me, and then I'm off of there. I don't love to get wrapped up in everyone else's life, because I got enough going on in my own. So it's part of my sanity, part of my wellness to be really diligent about that. So anyway, does anybody have any suggestions for me?
Brooke's hand shot up during that. Brooke, do you have some thoughts on that?
I do, yeah. Hi, Ingrid.
Hi.
So I work for Merriwood Construction Services doing marketing. So we're in different occupations, very different. However, what is consistent across the board is we're all trying to reach potential clients. So one thing that we've really focused on this year is targeted ads, especially on Facebook and Google. Facebook is a lot cheaper than Google, but it's very personalized. So if you do a little research on that, I think you might have success in targeting some of the demographics that you're hoping to. The other avenue we've found to be very successful in boosting our audience is giveaways. So if you can give away a week-long or, you know, a few courses with you or whatever you're comfortable with, it's amazing how much people love free stuff. Amazing. And I think you might find success with that, just trying a few different things and seeing how your audience grows. A question I did have for you, though, is I've seen quite a bit of research now on COVID being directly related sometimes in severity to people who aren't being active, or they're so anxious they're going to get it that then they end up getting it. Right. So like we're talking mind, we're talking health. So I was just curious if you have posted any education on how yoga and meditation can help people through this process to possibly avoid getting sick. Maybe not even COVID, but just a common cold.
Yeah, I thank you for that suggestion about the Facebook and Google marketing and the free. Yes, free does talk. And the education, yeah, that's right up my alley, and getting enough information out there. Certainly for the first 6 weeks into this, every class I taught was brought in either how to handle the anxiety that you might be feeling or how to work with your immune system. And so every class continues to really support those things, but putting it on Facebook enough or getting that education out there and connecting it to, okay, right now everything has been disrupted for you with COVID. How are you staying active? That same question I asked everybody here today. How are you dealing with this? How are you staying well mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of those areas. So it definitely, as you know, as you all know, to keep this one person show going and to be present on that Facebook and hoping that it's going to land with some people or bring you some business is part of the game. And just like you, I think I've been putting as much as I can out there. I was just listening to a podcast today, though, that we all are in a little bit of like a moral fatigue. We have all of these things, and just doing your normal day life can be very exhausting. And so I've done what I can so far with that, even though there's more. There's more that's happening with me every day, and thoughts that don't get on the paper, don't get on the post. So.
Awesome. Well, Ingrid, we always ask the last question of our presenter: what can we as a community do for you?
Just letting people know that I'm out here and that I'm here in Eau Claire, and I'm online now. I'm online, and so I'm available further out than Eau Claire to offer people a different take on this practice that has blown up in the West to be known as yoga. And we always just think about this physical practice, and it has all these other arms. It has the breathing, it has meditation, it has knowing yourself. All of those things are part of it. And that's what I'm teaching. And I also do a lot of work with strength, because I found that the yoga works on a lot of stretchy, and that's not really the best thing for everybody. Your nervous system actually, you might think you can feel it, which is great. People like how they can feel that, like, oh, it's really stretching there. But it kind of can whack out your nervous system if you do it again and again and again and again and again. And so I'm really doing this strength practice right alongside it, so that, and even my yoga looks a little more like it might have a push-up or two in it. It might have, but it's not a fast-paced push-up-y thing. And so the strength practices and the Pilates practices have been equally part of, what's coming together for me and what I teach every day. So that's the I guess, word of mouth, or, hey, I heard about this different thing that might work for you, Mom, as you, can't get to a class, or, but maybe you're available during the times when I teach. And like I said, with this ability to do the videos, like Adam said, and put them online, it's like you don't even have to be available when I'm available. You can take the class whenever you'd like. So, and I find that for myself, I like to have that opportunity too with my teachers, to be able to take that class when it's convenient for me, if 5:30 p.m. is not convenient. So yeah. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ingrid. Thanks for presenting today.
Appreciate it.
At this time, we always open it up to entrepreneurial events that are happening within the next week. As Ingrid mentioned, we have a lunch and learn with her today at noon. I dropped the link up in the chat here. So you can feel free to sign up for that. That is on steadiness in uncertain times. So really talking about the mindfulness aspect that Ingrid hit on a couple times in her presentation today. So that is today at noon. I just dropped the link there again.
And I'm also talking a lot about that deep work piece. So I've actually taken three themes and tried to wrap them into this hour. I'll be talking about this book called, can anybody see this? Deep Work, and then The Happiness Advantage. And so both of these I'm giving a little bit of time to today, along with kind of weaving in uncertainty. How do we deal with the times that we're living in? And the secret is it's always uncertain. We are under illusions all the time that we have control, and we don't. So anyway, but these are really nice things to anchor that uncertainty.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that is all that we've got. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll take care, everybody.